Hello and welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 417. I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
I'm Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les. It is Tuesday, November the 27th.
Yep, all day.
2018. There was a Senate runoff race here.
There is.
In Mississippi.
Still going on till 7.
Yeah,
so
7
people
or 7:30,
still have
something like
like
that.
15 more minutes to vote. It's 7 because the girl in front of me couldn't vote and they told her
Oh,
she
and
went.
she had until, okay.
She had until 7.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on, but, you know. They were like, as long as you're in line by 7.
Yeah, that's true.
As they looked around and there were no ones. Because runoff elections are not like...
They're not going to get as much...
super populated.
Attention, yeah. I feel like I should introduce our third co-host, my giant pimple.
Oh,
it's huge.
I didn't even notice till you said. Same.
I can just cover it with my hair, see now it doesn't
Aww.
exist. That's why it's there in the first place.
Very flippy of you.
Anyway. I can go where you can go, whatever makes you happy.
Just knitting in circles. I can go.
Okey-doke.
Knitting on a cowl.
Oh, I was going to say, that's a big-ass hat.
Nope. It's not a hat. It is the, Very Gifted Cowl by Church Mouse Yarns and Tees. It is a free pattern because all it is stockinette stitching around. But it does come in a wide variety of like weights, so like fingering weight all the way up to a bulky, and the cast on numbers.
Do you remember that year we went to Spring Fling that
and
we
we
made
knit
cowls for everybody?
all the elves. Yeah, I do remember very vividly. So this is actually going to go to one of my coworkers, I think. But really, I like this yarn in the store, and I was like, what can I do with this? This is
nice.
It's Juniper Farm Stratus, and I'm knitting on size 8 needles, so you would use like 13s. It's like a chain construction.
Yeah, it's like a chainette,
and it's a wool blend of some kind. I lost the tag, so I had to look it up on Ravelry.
So it's a tube that must have something blown into it.
No, it's not a tube.
Is it not?
It's a chain.
Well, but it's a chain that goes around to make a tube, right?
No. I don't think so. Stop messing with my yarn.
This is the end. Hush. Well, it's a pretty tight tube, but yeah.
I don't think anything's blown in.
No, that may not. You may be right. Yeah, I don't think it's wide enough.
It's just chained.
But it's very soft, and it's
It
not
is very soft. You should feel the knit up fabric.
with alpaca. Sometimes it can be, and I don't know that this is alpaca, but sometimes it can be a little rough for me.
Oh, really? I don't have that problem with alpaca.
But this is really light. Like it's very
lightweight. I think it would be a good sweater for you, actually,
Yeah.
if it doesn't have alpaca in it, because it is very, very light.
What is it called? Juniper what?
Juniper Farms Stratus. It's the same people who did the linen blend that I used earlier this year. Zoe.
I'm gonna look that up. Juniper.
Okay. You can see what the... But I like it because you guys can't see as I pet it, but it's like got some color depth because of the construction.
Stratus.
Yes. So what I said, they name it after like clouds.
Michael's got this thing on our router so that anything that pops up at the top of a Google search that's an ad,
Yeah.
it blocks it. You can't go there.
My work also has that.
It's so frustrating because sometimes I'm like, that's the one I want.
Okay, so it's an Aranoi, 142 yards.
So 60% wool, 20% nylon, 10% alpaca, and 10% yak.
Yeah, so not terrible.
Yeah.
It's a chainette I-cord construction.
I might have to get some of that to try.
They have them at the yarn shop in Maryville. That's where I got it from.
Okay, when you were with your mom.
When actually, this is from when we went.
Okay.
I bought this one skein to try when we were there.
Oh,
so,
yeah, the place where we parked across the street and thought we were going to get towed.
The hook and needle.
Yeah, okay.
That's the yarn shop in Maryville. Yep, so, I actually got you a present from there this past time when I was with my mom, and I keep forgetting to give it to you.
That's okay. I can wait.
Good, because you're going to. So this is what I'm just knitting around and around and around, and hopefully I will someday finish it by the end of the month, because I'm going to use it for a class for Harry Potter. But I think I only have like...
Yeah, and the end of the month is in 3 days, and you have knit night tomorrow.
Yeah, but I also need to spin for the end of the month, so we'll see what gets done. I think I can get this done. If I work on it If I work on it, I think I can get it done.
Yeah, for sure.
I also wanted to knit a pair of mittens, but that ship may have sailed.
Might be overreaching just a smidge.
Well, maybe I'll do like toddler mitts for or baby mitts.
You could, yeah, because that's just like in the round.
4 rows and done. Oh look, I stopped in the middle of a row.
You can send them to Sadie.
Super. Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. It's super helpful. So
it's a tangled mess.
I feel like this is an allegory of my life right now.
That's a sexy word, allegory.
I'm not certain I used it correctly. Because usually an allegory is like a story that... Anyway, I did not use it correctly. But a symbol of my life? How about that? My life is pretty much a tangled mess right now. Anyway, so I'm on the ribbing of a sock, which I'll never be able to complete because I can't get the yarn untangled. It is Lollipop Yarns. I'm not certain of the colorway. I started this probably back in March. And it's just now getting to the end of the first one. I'm gonna do, let's see, it goes like a taupe, black, green, brown, gray, lime green. And I'm probably gonna actually knit,
You go, love.
Thank you. Another couple, like almost a full repeat from here. So I'm back at the taupe. So, because it's not quite an inch, I'll do a couple inches of ribbing. We'll see. I used Wendy Johnson's taupe with a gusset heel, because it's my fave. This was knit 60 stitches. Don't know why. Probably because it was before I was like, hey, I should go to 64 stitches. So.
Wait.
Because now I knit my socks 64 stitches around on size zeros. This is 60.
So you went up in the number of stitches instead of down? I thought you went down.
No, I've gone up. I mean, this is not wide enough for my foot.
Oh, okay. I thought you went down for some reason.
I mean, I could, but I did not. Anyway.
Whatever works for you. I guess I'm used to you going down in needle size, and that's where that...
Yeah. So it says zeros. I don't know what I'm doing. Such is life right now.
She's in a funk.
I'm in a something.
And I'm going to talk about my knitting real quick so that then she can tell you why she's in a funk, because she deserves it.
No,
just
it's
a little
okay.
bit.
Hopefully I'll be able to pull that bag out. And that's living in my fat squirrel bag. This doesn't have a bag because it's bagless. It's just hanging out. I hope that it will be finished soon.
Too soon to need a bag?
Yeah, that doesn't need a bag. So I'm going to work on this. Okay, so that's all the knitting that I have are those 2 items.
Okay.
That's all I'm working on.
So I have 2 things that I'm knitting on. One is the Uma out of the luscious Harrisville Tweed Nightshades, which is a Cormo yarn.
It's a blend, right?
Yeah, it's 85% Cormo and 15% just
other wool.
Generic wool.
Yeah.
And that's the color that they mix in. So it's sort of like, they blend to make a color, kind of like how Brooklyn Tweed blends their bases to make different colors.
So it's blended in the wool versus, because Brooklyn Tweed for their woolen spun stuff is blended in the wool versus in the
I don't
afterwards.
know. I have no idea.
Well, it sounds like it's blended. If you have one color of one and
so
another
like
color of another.
Every color in the range has the same 85% black. And
yeah,
then the other 15% is the color that's added
blended in the...
This
all looks it's not like that color is a separate ply, is it?
No.
Yeah, it's blended in the wool.
It's wool and spun, so...
It's blended in the wool.
Yeah, I guess it would have to be. Anyhow...
It's pretty.
It is pretty, and it's squishy, and it's lovely.
It's also black.
It is, so it's attracting everything. But that's
and also
okay.
kind of hard to work on at night.
It is. Even though it's on size 8s, which is for...
We're using the same size needles.
Is it 4.5? No, it's 5mm. Sorry. This purple marker is where I was the last time. So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4 repeats on the body. So 16 rows. Not a ton, but something.
Yeah.
I swatched for a sweater that I want to knit called Wrought Iron.
Ooh, that's the one that has the panel in the front, right?
It's in Tarja.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be my first time doing it.
You should totally... Did you swatch with both colors?
No.
You should totally swatch with the other color and then wash your swatches together.
I can't imagine why you're suggesting such a thing. Yeah, so this is, I'll show you guys the cakes next week, because I plan on casting on this week sometime. But it was a custom color that Sadie of Knitter's Nightmare, the Yarnivore podcast, dyed for me. And so she dyed this one huge 1,600 yard skein.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Because I didn't want to have to alternate skeins. And I'm a princess that way, apparently.
Well, I mean, you did custom get it made, so I think that's...
so it's just a...
And if she winds off her skeins, it's probably just easier for her to dye it all at once.
So I got this sort of shades of gray, and then I've got a really bright, like, turquoisey color.
I almost just said that don't push thing. From Great British Bake Off, when he was like, he doesn't push. What was the saying?
He doesn't push what?
Babies out. What was it?
I have no idea what we're talking about.
Okay, so Great British Bake Off.
Right.
There's the guy that we really liked.
Raoul?
No. The guy who got...
Dan or something. Guy with 2 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had to explain that phrase to me about not pushing.
Too posh to push.
There you go.
Which I'm not endorsing or condoning. It's just a phrase I heard. And I heard it from my dad wrote a porno. I don't remember how it came up. But the term too posh to push relates to women, particularly British women, who schedule C-sections rather than risk having to deliver a baby vaginally. I don't think that's something that British women do more than American women, but it's just a term, I guess, they coined there. Too posh to push.
And you said princess, and that made me think of that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was wondering how that connected, but, I just trusted you.
That's always a mistake.
And I have a surprise work in progress.
What?
Yeah. Do you remember this bag? So Joanne made this for me.
Yeah. Years ago.
Yeah, a while back.
Did you find something in it?
So remember...
You're also flicking me off right now.
Oh, sorry. It's only that way if the back of my hand's turned to you. This, whatever. So we were talking about whips a long time ago on the show, and you asked how many I had, and I mentioned one that I couldn't find.
Yeah.
The Stonecroft shawl. Found it.
Yes.
So,
awesome.
I use...
I'm so glad you found it.
I use...
I have no recollection of this project whatsoever.
Well, you'll remember when I bring it out. So I use like tote bags when I get groceries, and when I'm done and I've unloaded them, I just shove them all into one bag. I just crumple them up and shove them in there because I'm fancy that way. And a couple, like one bag full of bags I had shoved in the laundry room to get washed, and when I was pulling them out to finally wash them, because they weren't a high priority, so they sat there for like a year at the very bottom of the laundry basket.
But you lost this like in your move, I thought.
No, I had knit on it after, because I went and looked up the project, and the last time I knit on it was September 2016, so I was here then.
Okay, you were barely here though.
Yeah, but I had shoved this in with the bag full of bags. So luckily I noticed it when I was putting stuff in the washer instead of just shoving it all in there. But
it would have been an interesting endeavor if you had.
So it's called the Stonecroft shawl, and it's out of the Volmisa blend.
I still don't remember this.
And
it's pretty.
It's a really pretty red color. It's a sport weight.
The blend is her cashmere blend.
Yeah.
It's really pretty.
So I pulled this out, having had no notes on it or anything, and I looked at the pattern.
You do have a pattern, yeah.
Which has 7 charts in it.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. So I had to go back and
read. Yeah.
Count. So it's by Judy Marples, the Stonecroft shawl.
I still have no recollection.
Oh, well.
I mean, it has been over 2 years.
It has, yeah. So I had to count through my stitches and figure out where I was, because of course I wouldn't make a note of where I was. That's just silly.
No, because you're just gonna pull it right back out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's totally logical.
But once I counted and figured out where I was, I'm at the part where you're just going the same thing over and over and over and over
Oh,
and
good.
over and over. So, until you almost get to the end. So, I'm repeating the same 8 rows a bajillion times. It did take me 2 hours to read through and count stitches and figure out where I was. Because, notes are hard.
You know who does something that I really appreciate is Curious Handmaids has that check-off sheet, and a lot of times they'll have the stitch count there, and I'm like, that is perfect.
Yeah.
Because it's really easy for me to figure out.
The other thing that I found in this bag that I can't remember if you knit these or I knit these was a pair of socks.
Huh.
And I'm wearing them.
I knit those.
They're like the vanilla is the new black.
Yeah, they're the Cheers colorway.
Oh, okay.
I totally knit those.
They were in that bag too, and I was like, I don't think I knit these.
I see how much you care for me.
Yeah.
I think that's the last pair of birthday socks that I knit for you, actually.
And now she remembers why.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's.
Well, it was when I was doing the Desert Vista Dye Works.
Yeah, the club.
Well,
no, that was the year. It must have been the year before because I haven't seen it since.
Well, I did it for 2 years.
Oh, okay.
So, I stalled out after 6 months the first time. I didn't quite hit 7 because that's going back to school and life gets crazy pants. And then I did make it all the way through last year, and I'm gonna try to make it all the way through next year because I have some of her yarn to knit up.
Some
12. It always stays at 12 skeins.
I thought it was 13.
Maybe 13.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It is usually the same number.
It's like the same number always.
And then I have one FO before Laura goes into her sad tale of woe.
Oh, that's so cute.
I knitted the Passerine hat. This is a pay-for pattern, I believe.
It is.
I had it in my library already, so I must have bought it before with the intention of making it.
Indie gift along last year.
Probably, yeah.
I think is when you got it.
I knit this out of some Sabito Farms Cormo in a gradient.
It's really pretty. I like it in the gradient.
I'm not great with my tension in Fair Isle.
How do you tension your ferrule? Do you do like one with throwing and one with
picking?
Which one do you do which?
So I use the Kirsten Kapoor method for remembering, and that is that if you're right hand dominant, which I am, the right color recedes and the left color is larger. So left is larger, right recedes. So I used the background color in my right hand, so like the blue, the purple bluish.
Yeah.
And then the white was in my left hand.
Okay.
But also knit this almost entirely while Teresa was in town and we were watching Great British Bake Off, so I've got some anomalies, like a random spot of white where there shouldn't be any, and that's not the only one, but it's the only one I'm going to point out.
You could duplicate each of those.
Don't care enough.
Okay. I just thought it was part of the branch.
No. Or maybe it should have been and I messed up the thing in between. I don't know. But it fits.
Good.
I don't typically knit fingering weight hats. I usually knit a thicker weight. But I like it. It's pretty.
It's cute.
It
keep you warm.
Keeps me warm. It's long enough to go over my ears.
That's always important.
I did a tubular cast on, so I made it as stretchy as possible. And then I didn't follow the decreases in the pattern. I just sort of made up what I wanted to do.
Oh. Well, there you go.
So, nothing fancy.
I think it's pretty.
Yeah, I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
I just...
like your bird butts.
Yeah. Little bird feathers. Although next time I will not invert my colors. So on the chart, the birds were in blue and the background was in white. So it kept screwing my head up.
Blue or black?
Blue. It was actually blue.
Oh.
Yeah, so it made my head a little crazy.
That is a little crazy.
But, yeah. On to you, my friend.
I finished the mini sock arms.
You did.
It looked splendid. And, back up a little bit. I had swatched with all the colors.
Yeah.
So I did pink, and then because I wanted to see how the colors played out, and then I had done the self-striping pattern, and I washed that swatch.
And you even did it in the round, right? You had like the loose ends in the back,
and cut it, then blocked it.
Right.
And I had a little bit of pink color runoff, but nothing like super dark. Well, yesterday when I had woven in all the ends and I set it to soak, And I probably used too high of a temperature, but Pearl was throwing up yesterday. She threw up 6 times in the span of 4 hours. So she was a little bit of a distraction. And UPS also delivered stuff in there. And I got distracted. This is totally on me. And it got left in the bath probably for 25 minutes, but I wasn't paying attention to it, and the colors bled. So the dark blue, which is in the upper part of the arms, bled all over the pink. So I drained the water, and I noticed it when I went to actually lay it out and block it. And I drained the water and rewashed it, and with a color catcher, and hoped that would catch the stray blue dye.
The runoff. And
it did a little bit. And then today, several people had recommended the TheKnitGirlls did an episode 504, a link to an Annie Modset method of using a 1/4 cup of baking soda in cool water and setting it in there and with a color catcher, and it would catch like the runoff dye. Baking soda is a base, so bases kind of offset the acid dyes.
Yeah.
And so I only put in the body of the sweater and just a smidge where it touched right here, because this is where the majority of the blue actually went, and I ended up with more blue everywhere. So that was a fail. So I'm gonna try maybe one more cool water bath, and I should have just washed it in cool water to begin with, I guess. I typically wash my stuff in like lukewarm water with some soak wash, and soak has been known to make colors run, and it's not the fault of any of the dyers. Like, I should have been paying better attention. I'm mad at myself.
Well, and it's not the fault of soak either, right? It has to do with your water.
Base versus acid versus, and if you're interested in this, Kimber of Fiber Optic Yarns wrote an awesome article for Spinoff a couple issues ago.
Was it Spinoff or Ply?
It was Spinoff.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Ply.
A couple issues ago. That was really, really good about this subject matter. And it all has to do with, like, the water that people dye in versus the water in your house, soft water versus hard water, the level of acidity versus the level of base. And when you introduce soap, any kind of soap, it's a base. So
to be fair, though,
and warm water makes it worse than cool water.
But this was a gift for your niece, right? And both yarns were listed to be superwash, right?
Yeah, and they are superwash. That has nothing to do with dye.
No, I understand that.
Okay.
But what temperature is superwash rated for? I thought it was warm.
Cool. No, it's supposed to be cool water. Anything hand-dyed, you're supposed to wash in cool.
I guess I always assumed superwash meant you could use warm water.
Well, superwash yarn, I mean, okay, so there's 2 different ways of treating superwash. There's a chemical treatment that actually strips the scales,
right.
And there's another way that actually coats the scales, and there is no way of knowing which one you have. The coated one will eventually wear off and no longer be superwash. That's why you might have some socks in your wardrobe that after like 10 wears, they've started to felt on the bottom. It's actually because the superwash coating has worn off, usually. Plus, like, it has to do with, like, how dense you knit your socks, because when there's more movement between the stitches, right, that creates greater friction. So even superwash will start to felt a little bit with friction and heat and moisture, which happens in socks a lot.
So even had this been perfect and it had gone to your nieces, then your sister-in-law would have known that even though it technically is superwash, it would have to be washed in cool water.
Yeah, you should wash all your hand knits in cool water.
I don't do that. All my socks get thrown in the washing machine.
I hand wash all my socks.
I know you
but
do.
I know we do very different things.
Okay, well, if anybody has any like amazing recommendations for how Laura can get the leaked dye off of her sweater, it might be interesting to learn.
It might. So I might end up knitting another sock arms,
which I think is insanity.
We'll see. I'm gonna send it to Oma, actually, my mom, Mama Linneman, and see if she has any tricks up her sleeve when she looks at it. And it might just be Like, it's wet again, so I feel like everything looks darker when it's wet.
That's true.
But also the pink is, on this one, the pink is a much lighter pink than my other one, because they were different dye lots. So I think light colors as well. So anyway, if I was going to knit sock arms again, I would knit in a darker color. And even though I tested mine, I would make sure that I would wash it in cool water. Hand wash, probably. Although you could machine wash in cool water, too. And just throw in, like, a color catcher. And I should have thrown in a color catcher, too. I just didn't think about it. Because I had washed my swatch with no leakage. But there's a lot more yarn on a sleeve than there is on two sleeves than there is on a swatch, too.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I expect a certain amount of due diligence, and that, I don't know, I guess I'm just surprised.
By dye leakage?
Not by dye leakage as a whole, but by learning that superwash doesn't mean you can use warm water. I think that's kind of dumb. I don't understand what the difference is using cool water when you hand wash, you use cool water.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the difference? That there's a little bit of agitation for superwash that it'll
So
tolerate?
the difference between warm and cool water is
no,
how it opens.
that's not my
Okay.
question. My question is, if we label things differently as superwash versus hand wash, but they both require cool water, I don't understand why they're different things.
Well, one's going to felt and the other is not. It has nothing to do with dye leakage.
I don't understand. I mean, I need to learn how to better articulate what I'm saying, and we will
Okay.
revisit this, because
Okay.
I understand what you're saying. Like, a non-superwash wool, if you add heat, friction, and what's the other one? Heat and moisture.
Mm-hmm.
Any two of those three things together will cause felting. But
Okay.
my question has more is a different thing, but I can't articulate it. So let me think on it, and I'll come back.
Okay. I'm all about some think time. So anyway, it's I'm hoping that it's still a problem that can be solved. I'm gonna have a positive outlook on it.
I mean, I think that it is, and I think that it's, even if it's not, in your head, it's a much bigger, more obvious color discoloration
Yeah.
than it truly is.
Probably. I'm going to have you look at it tomorrow, too, at night, where it'll hopefully be dry.
Right.
And that's the reason why I didn't bring it tonight, is it's wet from its baking soda bath it got earlier still, because I was still trying to problem solve this before I brought it over. But also why it was, like, still damp, because I think at the point where you add heat and it gets dry is kind of like the point of no return.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, I mean, I'm definitely going to send it to my mom dry. But I didn't want it to, I figured if I could hit it with the baking soda solution while it was still wet.
It can't make it worse. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't see how a baking soda wash could make it worse.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's the base that's the alternate to the acid, so.
Yeah. And I can always, like, reset dyes, but using some acid and heat. But I don't want to reset the dye now because it's
moved.
not where
Right.
it's supposed to be. So I might play with it a little bit more and see.
That
It is what it
naughty
is.
wandering dye.
I know. It's freaking turquoise. Turquoise is the worst color of dye. It's like the glitter of the dye world.
Yeah.
So, can't be mad. I mean, I know better. I know what to do. And I just got distracted by my crazy vomiting dog. I swear. I thought, like, we were going to have to go to the ER vet. And my Apple Watch... So this is the funny part of this. So my Apple Watch, when my heart rate goes up, sends me a notification to, like, it opens the Breathe app and tells me to breathe for a minute. And I got my Apple Watch Black Friday on, like, super clearance. It's a 3. And so, like, this is a new thing for me. And so, like, it's funny because, like, when it goes off is hilarious. So the dog's vomiting. I notice the dye's leaked, and it goes off then. Because it's like, you just need to breathe. And then today, when I was talking to one of my coworkers, it went off and was like, you need to breathe. But it didn't go off when, like, the kids were going crazy. And I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
let's not go crazy. Let's use our company voices. So, I can deal with kids all day and my heart rate doesn't jump so high, but add in some adults, some dye leakage, and some vomit, and we're just done. I need to breathe more often. I need to breathe in general. But, yeah, so that's my finished object. I do have 3 things of spinning that did not have any issues.
I have no spinning this week.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about my spinning. The first thing that I finished is the Knit Spin Farm. It was a top, some Cordale top in the Glimpses of the Moon colorway. It's a 2-ply, and I think it came out super squishy. So this is our Patreon prize for last month. It is 260 yards of a 2-ply, so kind of a, excuse me, a DK weight.
It looks light.
Yeah. I'm happy with it. It doesn't have, like, a ton of twist in it.
That's okay.
Which creates a lighter, fluffier, less crunchy kind of yarn. So that's my first one. I'm going to leave it here for Leslie to ship. My second is a chain ply. Chain plies for me always seem to be more dense and tighter. I think it's the nature of chain plies.
I agree.
I chain plied this one on purpose to get blocks of color. This is 50% merino, 50% Firestar in the tropical blend from Spotted Circus.
It's so much prettier than it looks on the screen.
Yeah, more like that. It's got a lot of glitter and shine to it, which I feel like never translates well.
Yeah.
It's still very squishy. This is more of a chunky weight, so it's 100 yards.
It's a
I'll
really
make a good hat.
vibrant, like orange and
Turquoise, and there's hints of pink in it, and then this like stained glass black that runs throughout the whole thing.
it just
Some
looks
yellow.
kind of circusy to me. I don't know why. Not like clown vomit, but like, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I like it. It's really pretty. I
Yeah.
have a braid of it myself that I'm gonna spin, like probably a DK weight single, and then I'm gonna like spiral ply it, or not spiral ply it, thread ply it.
Thread ply?
Because
With the silk thread?
I like how like the color is great. Ooh, that came out pretty too.
Yeah, and this is actually going to be knit into a baby garment. This was Superwash Cordale, which I've never spun before, and I was super excited to try. It is by Into the World. It is the Inevitable Betrayal colorway. 4 ounces. I got 178 yards of a 2-ply. It was spun thick to be like a worsted weight on purpose because I'm going to knit a worsted weight baby garment out of it. I think I'm going to knit a Milo, actually.
Yeah.
So I figured that was fun colors for that. But yeah.
It's really pretty.
I'm happy with this one. I spun this when I was at my parents' house over Thanksgiving break. So, yeah. So, nice and squishy braids.
All your spinning came out really pretty this week.
Thank you.
Not like it doesn't usually, but...
Trying to think if there's anything else. Most of those were spun on the Lendrum. The Into the World was spun on the Ladybug, which came back with me. So the Ladybug's back at my house because I'm not going to see my parents for Christmas. And the next time that they're coming to see me is when we're at Madrona.
Yep.
They're going to come pearl sit. Well, Mama Linneman's coming up with us, and she's taking a bunch of classes by Kate Larson. Leslie and I will be in the Clemis and Clemis all-day drum carding intensive class on Saturday.
Yep.
But we'll be walking around probably Friday and maybe Sunday as well. Probably not Sunday because
We'll have to fly back.
we'll have to fly back, but definitely Friday.
And we'll lose all kinds of time flying back because of the...
Like 3 hours.
Yeah.
But
So that'll be fun.
it's going to be fun. We're staying with my grandma who actually lives in Port Orchard, so not too far away. So that'll be fun too. She's called me a couple times already. She's excited too. She might be hanging out with us.
I need
Or
to
hanging
knit
out
her
with
a
Mama Linneman.
hosting present or
Oh,
something.
she'd love that. I'm going to knit her some mitts for Christmas. I knit her a hat last year. But it was requested that I knit longer mitts because I had done like shorties. So she wants ones that go
Is
up
she
her,
tall
like...
and long like your mom?
No, but she...
Because it's your mom's mom.
This is my mom's mom. But she likes wearing 3/4 sleeves like I do.
Oh, okay.
So, she wants some mitts that go up. I might knit those lambing mitts.
Oh, yeah. Those are good.
Those are cute. The, Fat Squirrel knits all the time, Amy Beth. Or has knitted in the past. I don't want to say all the time, but has knitted in the past.
I consulted Amy Beth, my sweater maven, and all around...
Awesomeness.
Yeah, she's just sort of my all-around fat lady guru. I love her face and all the other parts of her. And I consulted her this week because the sweater that I'm going to knit, wrought iron, is designed to be worn with 15 inches of positive ease.
Oh my, that's a lot of positive ease.
So like the boxy is 10 or 12 inches?
Yeah.
Something like that. 10 or 12 inches of positive ease.
There is such a thing as too much positive ease.
I think that it's proportional to what size you are. So, and maybe I'm completely wrong on that.
Like length-wise
No.
proportional? Okay.
No, I mean like, so the model is wearing, I don't know, what would be considered maybe a medium, like 34 or 36.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got her 15 inches of positive ease, and it just looks kind of like a cool boyfriend.
So like a 49, yeah.
Right. But when you go way up on that spectrum, so like I have a 48-inch bust, and if I were to knit, the largest size is a 62.5 inches, which it would be the closest to me.
Yeah.
It would be about 14 inches of positive ease. I would look just messy because I'm already so big that adding that much positive ease, I think, just actually makes it look worse. And so I consulted Amy Beth because she constantly knits garments for herself, and they always look lovely.
Yeah. And what did she say?
And she agreed and said that, yeah, that, you know, that was going to be that was a serious amount of positive ease, I believe is what she said.
She's so smart.
And so I asked her opinion, like, what would, if she were knitting the sweater, how much positive ease would she do? And she said about 4 inches is probably about as much as she would go.
So when you change that, though, a lot of these like sweaters like boxy that have the massive amount of positive ease then are real tight on the arms to give you like a slenderizing look because the arms are tight. Does this have a tight arm as well? Okay.
So the boxy is essentially, for anybody who hasn't knit it yet, is essentially a box.
Yeah, it's a Hohi Locatelli pattern.
And so it's very loose up here in the shoulder area and only becomes an actual tube sleeve like somewhere between your elbow and your shoulder.
Yeah, it depends on the size that you knit.
Right. And so when you adjust the numbers, you have to also take that into consideration. I need to double check, but I'm pretty sure this one has like a regular sleeve cap, so I'll have to look at the measurements and everything.
Interesting.
So, that being said, I'm actually not sure. I need to look at that. That's a good point.
I just know because I've tried on other people's boxies that have been in the smaller sizes, but I'm like, oh, you know, this is size to knit like for like a 40, but they did like the 52 inches around. That should totally fit me, and then I put it on. I have like little dinosaur arms because I can't get my arms through because it's the sleeve cap on that you know comes down to like here because the whole thing goes straight down from here. That then it gets real tight.
Yeah. No, it's a good point. I need to look at that.
And actually, when you knit the boxy, you're supposed to size it based on your sleeve size.
Right.
Because, like, 3 sizes have the same amount of... Anyway. So, on that, actually, not every size has the same amount of ease because, like, 3 sizes, you might knit to a 60, but it might be, like, 40, you know, or, like, 50, 52, 54, all knit to that 60.
Yeah, this one definitely has you use your bust size to determine sweater size. But I haven't gone down to the sleeve and checked to see how that's constructed and size-wise how that relates to the positive ease of the sweater.
There might also be some length considerations to think about.
Yeah, there are.
With altering that. Especially if it's like a repeat, like a lace repeat or something. Isn't it lace?
It's got a lace panel in the center.
Okay.
That's the intarsia part of it, is this lace panel in the center. So, yeah, I need to do some reading on the actual pattern. I did do some weaving this week.
I want to see.
But I don't have it up here because, like,
Is it still on the
It's
loom?
still on the loom,
Oh.
and that's a giant hassle
to carry a loom up and downstairs. I would agree with that.
But I also, Michael made me a rag rug loom because I asked him to, and it's essentially just a square of whatever size you want. I think I had him do 18 inches. And it's got nails at the top and at the bottom, and you weave with like strips of cloth.
Yeah.
So I have a bunch of balls of yarn
of cloth
that I cut up old garments that were stained or don't fit us or have holes or whatever, and created these strips of fabric, and now I'm weaving them into
woven garments or knit garments, or it didn't matter.
I think most of them are knit. I can't remember, but I think most of them are knit. You know, they're like the cheap shirts from Old Navy, or things like that.
Pajama pants would be woven, probably.
Yeah, there are a couple of pairs of pajama pants in there. I've got a couple of sheets that have developed holes because our dogs get in the bed, and sometimes they decide they just really need to dig into the mattress and create holes. So we have a couple of those that I need to cut up into strips. But and then I've got on the Cricut, I decided to try out weaving sort of a bits and bobs plaid kind of thing. I talked to Jen of Miss Babs at SAF.
And they sell kits, right?
They do sell Mad for Plaid kits, but I had all these odds and ends sitting around, so.
And mine as well.
I used that hot pink.
Yeah,
from yours.
That was Numma Numma in the TheKnitGirlls.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't the TheKnitGirlls. It was
like bubblegum or some foodie sounding thing.
I don't remember, but yeah.
But Jen, when I talked to her at SAF, I asked her about
Boombox. That's what it was.
Oh yeah. This scarf had so many colors, and I was like, oh, that's gorgeous, but all the ends you have to weave in after. And she talked to me about this way that she does it that I still haven't quite figured out. I'm getting closer, and once I figure it out, if it works well, then I'll do a tutorial. Or maybe there's one out there already. I don't know. I'll have to look. But
could you do that like clasp weft?
You can, but that doesn't not really for weaving in ends.
I gotcha.
For creating designs, it's fantastic. At least I couldn't find a way to make that work. But I have issues with spatial things, so that could be it.
No idea.
Let's see. What else? Oh, I need to move the thingy down. What have you been reading?
So I'm still listening to the Kate Daniels book. I also listened to the Good Neighbor book. I didn't get completely done. It's a biography on Mr. Rogers before the library snatched it back. It's read by LeVar Burton, who's an excellent reader, and it's really, really an interesting...
LeVar Burton was Geordie LaForge on Star Trek The Next Generation. He was also the host of the Reading Rainbow.
Yeah. And he does like the Reading Rainbow app now, which is a big thing. But he does an excellent job reading the book, and it's really, really interesting about Mr. Rogers and where he came from. And I'm just to the point, like, right after where he and his wife met and got married, and they were working for NBC in New York City for a year, and then he went back to Pittsburgh to public TV and started a children's program, which is not Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, but it's kind of like the precursor where he's using puppets for the first time. So that's where, I think I was like 6 hours in, where the library snatched it back.
Oh.
So it's got like a 20-person wait list, so I'm just going to wait and listen to the rest later. But it was a really, really interesting listen.
Yeah, he was a minister, right? And
I'm not there yet. So he grew up outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So like his family was extremely wealthy.
Right. Okay.
And he ended up going to college after kind of like a false start. He went to that college that Animal House was based off of, which is not like a good fit for him.
Okay.
I think it's Dartmouth. And then he ended up going to Florida. But it's really fascinating, like the work that his mom was very active in the church. If she had been born in a different time period, she probably would have been a doctor. She volunteered a ton in the hospital, like almost every day, and I guess would buy like 1,500 Christmas presents every year for people in the town. And she's kind of like the person you would go to if like you know, you had a choice between paying the electricity bill or your kids having shoes.
Right.
Like, just see if she could help out, or provide, like, food or whatever resources were needed for this town. She helped provide, and the family helped provide. And he was an only child. Well, he was their only biological child. They also adopted a little girl later when he was like 12 years old. So, and he was kind of like bullied in school, was called Fat Freddy because he was bigger. But also, like, it's just an interesting view of, like, the town, but also, like, their impact on the town, and then his father's impact on his career was really, really interesting as well, because the majority of their money, they had it in variety things, but they had invested in radio, and I think it was the RCA Corporation, which then became NBC. So his dad had, like, a lot of strings that he could pull in television as well. But yeah, originally he went to school to do music, and I guess 99.9 all the music for Mr. Rogers was created by him.
Oh, okay. Like,
all the songs were. And his wife was also a musician. So, it was really fascinating. And it also goes in, like, his stubbornness, and it starts off with when he was on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and he asked her not to have any children in the audience because he knew if there were kids in the audience, he would want to talk to them and not her. And the producers of the show just totally had no regard for that and just only invited kids and their moms.
Oh.
And so it was before Oprah became syndicated and became Oprah. And so, like, how she kind of, like, totally lost control of the interview because he was so distracted just talking to the children and alleviating their concerns, because there was, like, a trolley on the stage, and they're like, is it going to fall off? What's going to happen? Yeah. So anyway,
you are very invested in this book.
It was really, really good, the little part that I read. And then so that was an audiobook, and I'm also, on the way back, because it got pulled by the library, I was listening to Alana Andrews' Magic Bites still. And I read Blending In, which is the new R.J. Blaine book, and Diamond Fire, which is the new novella by Alana Andrews, which takes place in the Wildfire Hidden Legacy worlds. So yeah, enjoyable reads all the way around.
Every time I finish one of Alana Andrews' series, or whatever's out of it currently, I'm like, this is my favorite. And then I read the next one, I'm like, I know this is my favorite. So
I like the Hidden Legacy. I think
they all have
what
really
I like
unique perspectives.
Yeah,
on
they're very
things.
different.
Yeah.
One of my coworkers she came to me today and she's like, I discovered audiobooks and I really like them. And I was like, I'm so glad. I do too. Did you do Audible? And we were talking about how you can get stuff from the library. Yeah. And she's re-listening to, she said she didn't want to get out of her car today.
I have that all the time.
Eldest, the Brissinger.
Oh yeah. The Aragon series.
The Aragon series. So it's got a different Inheritance trilogy, I think is the actual name of the trilogy.
Yeah, it's Aragon, Eldest, Brissinger, and I think there's a fourth one.
There is a fourth. It's not a trilogy.
I don't know that I've read the fourth one.
It's got a green cover. That's all I got. I think it's green. Eldest
Inheritance?
is red.
No.
Because blue, red, green. I don't know. I should know, but I know where they are in my library.
That's funny because Alan, a friend of mine who moved to Las Vegas, he IM'd me on our company IM system, and he was like, dude, I found Audible this weekend. I was like,
welcome to 2005.
Let me give you a comprehensive list of things that you should listen to.
So I think I might recommend Alana Andrews to her, because I think that's a good crossover into adult fantasy. Yeah. And she's very into superheroes too. So
was Alan. I was like, what are you listening to? He's like, I'm just trying all these different superhero things because that's his thing.
He should try Steelheart.
He loves Brandon Sanderson.
Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what I've been reading. What have you been reading?
Oh, I'm almost out of yarn.
Look at you.
I'm
not.
I have like a paragraph of reading.
That's good.
So I've been there was a point earlier this week where Audible had a sale, and they had a bunch of like $4, $5, $6 books.
And if you bought 4 of them, you got $5 credit.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that a couple of times. So I have like 10 brand new books.
Did you get Good Omens?
Yes.
Okay.
And none of them sounded good at one point. Like, none of them sounded interesting.
Aww.
So I went back and was listening to the third Innkeeper book. Because Kobe was listening to the second one, so I didn't want to... He uses my account, so I didn't want to, like...
I thought you didn't like the narrator for that.
I got over it.
Okay. I'm glad you got over it.
Yeah.
It's not Renee Rodman who does the rest of her stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's... The lady has an Atlanta very, like... it. I think it's worse at the beginning of the first book than it is in the rest of the series, or maybe I just got numb to it.
Well, they're supposed to be in Texas, right?
Yeah, it is Texas. Okay. You're right. But it sounds like a plantation, Georgia kind of accent to me.
All Southern accents sound alike to me. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, most of them do, and then there's the Louisiana ones, which are their own.
Well, that's more Creole.
Right,
that's
but
not,
I would consider that to some. Yeah, it's sort of a mix. Anyway. So that was the only thing that sounded interesting, so I was listening to that.
Uh-huh.
And then today I started one called Consorting with Dragons by Sarah Trevor.
Huh.
It is
I totally thought that was not going to be the author that you were going to say.
Male romance.
Is it good?
I think. I'm only a couple hours in. It's good so far. I listened to the first in the Murderbot Diaries called All Systems Red.
Terrible.
So it was pretty short. It was under 4 hours. And it was one that it kept popping up in my recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically... I mean, it's more science fiction than anything else.
I'm going to add that Consorting with Dragons to my list real fast.
But it's basically this... what's supposed to be AI... like a security droid bot thing that hacks its own system and becomes sentient. And it laughingly refers to itself as Murderbot, but only in its own head, because if other people know that it's sentient, then they'll dismantle it and destroy it or whatever.
Also, if you call yourself Murderbot to other people, you
will
have no friends.
But it's a very, sarcastic and funny, android. And this is only the first in the series. It's by Martha Wells, I think.
My phone is refusing to load.
And it's good. It's, not what I typically listen to, but it was a good, weekend listen. I read the first 2 books in a 9-book series. Blackbird in the Reeds and Wolf in the Holly. These are all by Sam Burns, who is a knitter.
Yeah.
And watches our show.
There you go.
And the books are great. I'm on the 3rd one. It's a trilogy of trilogies, so there's 9 books. I will say that each story doesn't wrap up.
No.
In each book, you have
to... But she says that they're going to wrap up by the end of the trilogy.
I have faith that they will. The story just sort of grows and continues through the books.
Who's your favorite character? Because they, each kind of character gets their own trilogy.
Well, right now I'm on the 3rd, which is, the one... Oh, no. The second one had the wolf and the gardener guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like the gardener guy.
I like that one.
I'm not a huge fan of Devin, who's, the main character in the first one, who apparently discovers he's Fae.
Yeah.
I don't have anything against it. He just doesn't, pull at me like some of the other characters do. I'm interested in Fletcher Lane's story. That's the younger deputy whose dad is a nurse.
Yeah.
I'm interested in his story. And Isla, who's a female character. I'm interested in her story as well. Why? Who's your favorite character?
I think the second book, the wolf and the gardener, are my favorite.
Okay.
Although I like that. I don't mind the Fae and his relationship. Now I can't remember who it is because it's been almost a month since I read it.
Yeah.
And I shotgun them.
It's another... He works with Fletcher Lane. I can't remember his name.
Yeah. Anyway, the 3rd is my least favorite.
That's the one I'm on now.
Yeah.
I just started it. Fox and the Birch.
I just have... There's... It just... The relationship seems Almost. Well, it's one of those where we see each other and we know we're soulmates type thing.
Oh, yeah.
They touch and they get that
Oh,
electric
that,
shock.
yeah.
And so, like, yeah, you're soulmates, but at the same time, there's, like, a lot to overcome. And
Yeah, it's relationships.
It ties up a little bit too neatly for me.
Okay.
Anyway. But I'll let you make your own opinion.
Yeah. And she's got other books out as well. So
yeah, I like them as well.
I'll check those out once I finish. But it'll take me a couple weeks to get through the series, I'm sure.
It took me a weekend.
Yeah, well, you read a lot faster than I do. But I get through audiobooks a lot faster
all
than
I did.
Yeah. Laura can somehow skim and still absorb, and I can't.
Apparently not, because I couldn't remember the guys' names, but yeah.
Yeah, but you've probably read 24 books since then. Or more. So.
I don't know. Maybe.
Let's see. What else?
But yeah, you have a longer listening span than I do. Because I'm like 20 minutes done.
Oh, yeah. No, I can listen for hours. If I've got something to do, I can do it for hours.
Can you do it for
I
hours?
can. Let's see. So on our favorite things, Laura mentioned Madrona. We are going to Madrona in February.
It's the weekend of Valentine's Day.
I know.
We're going to have a very romantic getaway.
Thursday, the day that we'll probably leave here, is Valentine's Day, and I mentioned it to my boss who makes the schedule, the on-call schedule, and I was like, yeah, just letting you know for next year, these are the times I plan to be out of town. I can reschedule if you've already made the plans. And he's like, oh, no, that's no problem. He's like, oh, were you going away for Valentine's Day? And I was like, sort of.
I mean, we could bring Michael.
No. He would be so bored. And the idea of us staying with your grandmother with Michael would never work.
Well, we would have to get y'all a hotel room.
Well, not because we're, like, so avaricious we can't keep our hands off of each other, but Michael has...
He likes space, his own personal space.
He has much more social anxiety issues than I do. Yeah. So, I mean, I've liked most of your family that I've met. I've never met your grandmother, but I've met almost everybody on your dad's side, I think.
Oh, because you were already...
in Jersey when...
Yeah, last time she visited. Because she visited right when she doesn't like flying anymore, so it doesn't really...
I don't blame her.
She's like flying, 85.
So. But, we were watching a movie and saw something on air. Oh, we were watching Crazy Rich Asians.
That was a really good movie.
It was pretty funny. I went into it with some reservations, but it was pretty funny.
I convinced Leslie that we needed to watch it.
But they get on the plane and there's a bar, like, with seating on the plane, and I'm like, that does not exist.
It might on private flights.
Maybe.
Not on
if it
commercial.
if it was like a private jet, maybe, but it looked like a commercial, like there were other people, so anyway. It was a good movie, though.
Yeah.
We were going to draw the Oktobercraft All the Things prizes, and then...
But I forgot them at my house. Yeah, because...
Sorry. The thread is locked, so
I had to breathe.
We'll draw them next week.
Yeah.
Thank you for being patient. What else?
Maybe I'll add to the pool for y'all's patience, because,
Yeah.
Madrona. The striped sock yarn knit along is still going on.
What are this month's dyers? Oh wait, November's almost over. I thought we were in December already. Sorry.
I'll read December's to you if you would like.
Sure.
Amazon.com mobile service is down.
Oh my god, the world is over.
My life is
Jeff Bezos is gonna be mad.
Well, it's just the app, or it's just I have your Wi-Fi is not working with my phone. And I have one single half bar.
Yeah, and you've already plowed through our data for the month.
I know. It's because work didn't have Wi-Fi for like 3 weeks.
Let's see. I can pull them up real quick.
Oop. If you go to forums, you were just...
I know, but I want to keep that open because I want to get some of that.
Oh, okay.
So I don't want to forget about it.
So you need the chatter thread.
Can you see us both squinting? Chatter, thread, that's stash. That probably needs to...
We probably need to
unsticky that.
Unsticky that. What we're thinking
I was like, what is that?
That is... And it probably hasn't been, written in 4 months. That's hilarious. Oops, sorry. Usually I try to clean up the boards,
Yeah.
but that didn't quite happen apparently.
That's okay. Alright, Knit Girls. Self-striping with cheddar.
Yeah, with cheddar. It's gonna be in post 1.
Alright, so November.
Online, Yuli's Knits Aloha Blue, Ladybug, Spinning Fates, Sweet Sparrow Yarns, and December is Night Owl, Alaska Nancy. Ooh, I have some of that to use.
Knit Studios.
Yeah, Lilliput's.
Cupcake Yarns.
All About Yarn. Owl.
Owl About Yarn.
And then
Grundel,
which is a commercial out of Germany. Commercial yarn.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. And then we're going to do our Patreon live thing this weekend at 1 o'clock on Saturday.
Oh, on Saturday?
December the 1st. That's what we said, right?
I have no idea. That's good to know, though.
Okay. I sent out a poll earlier today. We're not completely sure what we're going to be failing at, but it'll be something.
We'll probably be failing epically, though.
Maybe we'll be failing so bad we don't have anything. I don't know. No, I sent out a poll with a couple of options, but
The bath bombs were pretty much an epic fail.
Yeah, but apparently they were funny, so... yeah, so there are a couple of options, like different kinds of paper flowers. There's a couple of, like, pom-pom things and different garlands and other stuff. So I sent out some links, but I'm totally open to suggestions if somebody says something brilliant. I'm not willing to do any kitchen stuff yet, just because we still are trying to work out the whole live streaming thing with Patreon. It's a weird thing how it works, so I don't want to have to deal with that and deal with kitchen
and
stuff.
my kitchen's too small to film in, so we would have to film over here at
which would take 3 days to get my kitchen clean enough to show anybody on camera. That is not an exaggeration. So that happens this weekend, December the 1st at 1 o'clock. Patreon, if you aren't aware, is a way that you can support your favorite artists by pledging a specified dollar amount per episode.
Yeah.
This is open to all of our Patreon supporters.
Regardless of level.
Right. And if you're interested in becoming a Patreon supporter, you can click on the link. We've got it in a couple different places. In our Ravelry group, in the information in the header of the group, it's there. On our website, TheKnitGirlls.com, with 3 L's.
On the
right-hand side, there's a Patreon supporter button you can click. I think that's it.
Yep. SSK. I am doing Whip Tag and SSK, and the form for that opens. So if you are attending SSK or on the wait list, all the details for that are in the Knit Girls Retreat Ravelry group.
Do you want to explain quickly what Whip Tag is?
No, it's all explained out, so I'm not going to revisit. But it's an idea that I stole from the 7th floor in Harry Potter House Cup, because they do an awesome job with it, and I've enjoyed being in it, so I'm purloining
and
that.
You give that group enough friggin' publicity.
They're so much fun.
I swear. Everything is about imaginary points. It's all about the imaginary points.
Don't be jealous of my imaginary points.
I'm only jealous of how much you get accomplished. Until you...
I'm glad you feel like I get things accomplished, because I don't feel like that at all.
Because you're constantly setting new goals for yourself.
Every month, usually.
Yeah, that's a lot, dude, even if you don't realize it.
I try to do 6 things a month, but that includes, like, spinning and stuff, so... yeah, we'll get there. The end of the month is fast approaching, and I only have 4 classes done, so... we'll see.
I would knit for you, but that wouldn't count.
That wouldn't count.
Anyway, so I think that's it for this week. We appreciate you guys' patience with us this month, and in general, because
it's been a weird month.
Yeah. But yeah, if you're going to be part of our Patreon audience,
we'll see you Saturday.
We will see you Saturday.
If not, we'll see you next week.
Yep. You guys
have basketball duty twice. It's gonna be fun for everyone.
Ugly. Okay, well, everybody except Laura, have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.